I'm here to tell you right now that the Detroit Lions, yes, you heard me right, the Detroit Lions are a top 7 NFL football team right now, that all the analysts are wrong in their power rankings right now. Everyone knows the Lions started their season 1-6, but then came back on a hot streak and finished their season going 7-2. The Lions are currently in second place in their division. If they win their Week 18 matchup against the Packers and the Rams beat the Seattle Seahawks on this Sunday, the Lions will be in the playoffs. Before I explain my reasoning, let me give you some stats. To start off, the Detroit Lions have a 22-point differential throughout their 16 games this season, which ranks for 10th in the NFL and is 19 more than Green Bay. Next up, the Lions are 5th in the league for offensive points per game, just behind Dallas, Kansas City, Philadelphia, and Buffalo. They also rank 5th in the league throughout their last 3 games for offensive points per game, which means they are hot and ranked 1st in home points per game. Now, the Detroit Lions do rank 29th in defensive points per game allowed, but this stat is actually misleading. One reason is because a lot of that was from the beginning of the season. If you actually look from the last 3 games, the Detroit Lions rank 16th in the league. Another thing is that Detroit's team is extremely young and is getting better and growing every day and by every week, and that's a big thing that analysts look over and just ignore, and especially it's because it's the Lions. Like if you look here, the Detroit Lions have the 3rd youngest team in the NFL. This is also a Detroit team that held the Packers to just 9 points earlier this season. Like what? This is also a Detroit defense that held Justin Jefferson to his career low 3 receptions and 14 yards for just 1 game. And that game was also away and in Minnesota. And this is also a Detroit defense that held Saquon Barkley on 15 carries to only 22 yards. Saquon Barkley was held to only 22 points at home. And this was also a hot New York offense that was held to only 18 points at home. If you don't get it by now, the Detroit Lions have an elite offense and now a mediocre defense as they've grown throughout the season. So let's look at ESPN's power panel filled with people who are full of integrity and leave bias out when they're making their decisions. And let's see how they rank their 32 NFL football teams this week going into the last week, Week 18. This can't be real. The Detroit Lions are ranked 13th. Like this has to be a joke. Let's look at who are above the Lions. Let's look at who I think should be below the Lions. Of course, the Packers are ranked above the Lions. It'd be a sin. It'd be a sin if the Detroit Lions are ranked above the Packers. I definitely think the Detroit Lions should be ranked above the Packers. This is the Packers team that lost to the New York Giants at home, lost to the Jets at home, lost to the Commanders, lost to the Vikings, and they lost to the Lions. If they lost to the Lions, why would the Lions not rank above the Packers? Like, the Detroit Lions also almost beat the Bills, and the Packers got destroyed by the Bills. This is also a Lions team that has had one of the hardest schedules in the NFL, with all their games against playoff opponents except 2 up until Week 17. Like, that's insane. Think about that. The second to the last week of the NFL is coming up, and throughout your 15 games so far, 13 out of 15 of them have been against teams that have a chance or are in the playoffs. Now, the Packers were in the same position, but have played 2 less potential playoff teams or playoff teams than the Lions. All right, let's look who's ranked 11th and 2 ranks above Detroit. It can't be that bad, right? What the fuck? The Jacksonville Jaguars are ranked 2 ranks above Detroit? I don't think I even need to explain this one. Do we forget when the Detroit Lions absolutely dropped their nuts all over the fucking Jags? Like, what the hell? How are they ranked above the Lions? Like, I get the Jags have a great chance of winning their division, but is that all this is? Just how good your playoff chances are? That's what you're fucking ranked? Like this is I just can't. 40-14 26-point differential, and you're gonna rank them above the line. Next. No, we're not done. This one pisses me off so much. Let's take a look at the Jags schedule. Why don't we? Okay, they played the Texans twice, the worst team in football. That's 2. Oh wait, never mind. They lost to the Texans. They also got to play the Colts twice, so that's 2 free wins. Oh wait, no, never mind. They lost to the Colts. They also got to play the Raiders. They also got beat by the Broncos, the biggest joke this year. Like, you could make some of these arguments for the Lions, but it's not nearly as bad as these. Ranked 10th in the NFL is the Baltimore Ravens, and I don't even need to explain anything. The writer does it himself for me in the caption he leaves below. The writer labels them as a playoff team with a question mark. Okay, that's first off a terrible sign. And they go on to say how Baltimore fails and struggles to score points without Lamar Jackson, who is currently injured, and they do. The Baltimore's offense is absolute ass right now. They also go on to talk about how the Ravens are 0-3 against teams with a winning record and haven't beat a team with a winning record since Week 6. Why are you putting a team that is fucking shitting their pants, falling off the rails, has no offense, their quarterback star is injured, higher than why are you ranking this team higher than the Packers, Lions, or Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, this is unbelievably crazy. Next up are the Giants, coming in at number 9. And first off, the most obvious one, the Lions fucking ate up the Giants in New Jersey earlier this season. Secondly, the Giants have only scored more than 30 points one time this season, while the Detroit Lions have scored 30 points in 9 of their 16 games this season. Over half. That's crazy. This is also a tanking Giants team. They've lost 4 of their last 7 games. They've only beat the Colts and the Commanders, and they tied the Commanders in their last 7 games. Now, one good thing about both these teams is they both have low amounts of turnovers. The Detroit Lions rank first with the lowest amount of turnovers, and the Giants are second in the NFL. But in the end, I think the Lions are better. They proved it on the field. They went to New Jersey and crushed the Giants. It was not even close for a second. And also, the Lions are hot and the Giants are tanking. Ranking number 8 is the Minnesota Vikings. What? They're still in the NFL? They're not? Are you sure they're not in the XFL now? This is the Vikings team that just got destroyed by the Lions a few weeks ago, and also should have lost to the Lions earlier this year, but the Lions threw the game away. This is a Vikings team that just got destroyed by the Packers 41-17. This is a team that almost lost to the Colts at home. This is the team that lost 40-3 to the Cowboys at home. I don't think anyone will argue against this one with me. The Vikings should be like ranked 16th in the league. Ranking number 7th is the Chargers. Now, this one I think could go either way. I mean, my first argument is strength of schedule. They got to play the Broncos twice. They got to play the Colts. They got to play the Texans. They got to play the Browns. They got to play the Raiders twice. They got to play the Cardinals. I mean, that's a lot of free wins, and they didn't even win all those games. Now, the Chargers are also right in the middle for offensive points per game and defensive points per game allowed, so that's a plus for them. But you could say that about equals up with Detroit, as they have like the #1 offense and like one of the worst defenses. If you think they have the worst defense based on the stats, then it equals up right in the middle for them as well. In the end, I think the Lions are better than the Chargers. Remember, power rankings are how good a team is. It's not who's gonna make the playoffs. It's what team is the best at that week or the end of that week. I think if the Lions were to play the Chargers right now, I think the Lions win 100% if they play at home, and if they play in LA, I still think they have like a great chance to win the game. This is if they played. But for the Chargers, I would understand if you put the Chargers above the Lions and rank the Lions 8th, but I honestly think the Lions are better than the Chargers and deserve the 7th ranked spot in the NFL power rankings right now. Now, I'm just going to say this just because of all the stinky cheeseheads. If the Lions do end up losing to the Packers, it does not matter. This is what I'm ranking the Lions as of what we know and is what has happened so far this season and where the Lions currently are. But also no chance the Lions fucking lose to the Packers, bro. They're going to go into Lambeau Field Sunday night and fucking break some kneecaps. Now, ranking 6, the Bengals. I totally agree with this one. The Bengals are good. Now, the Eagles, I would definitely rank the Eagles lower than this. I don't think the Eagles are as good without fucking Jalen Hurts. I mean, they're struggling without him, and I don't really know the current situation of his injury. First off, I would definitely rank the Bengals above the Eagles with or without Hurts, because you just don't know how much his injury is going to affect him. And then if the Eagles played the Lions right now, I would take the Lions if the Eagles 100% didn't have Hurts, and maybe even if they did, just because of his injury. Ranking number 4, the Cowboys. I like that. Ranking number 3, the 49ers. I like it. And then 2 and 1, you know, the Bills and the Chiefs. Everyone already knows it. I like the top 4. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. Please leave your opinions in the comment section. If you enjoyed my content, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And once again, thanks for watching.